Hello and welcome back to TNS RV Adventures. We're Tammy and Steve Cass, and we've been RVing a long time. The last 4 years we've been full-timing it in our fifth wheel across America and loving every minute of it. Today I would like to talk to you about RV travel days, navigation, and trip planning. We're going to share with you what we've learned about traveling across the country, some of the applications that we use, and we're going to share with you some applications that we use on our phones just to help us out and have a pleasant experience driving and pulling the rig. So stick around, we're going to get into it, and come along with us. Okay, here we go. Now, the sales of RVs have far outpaced construction or renovation of new campgrounds across the country. And there's so many RVs out there, and there's so many RVers looking to camp in some of these campgrounds. And so sometimes you get frustrated because you can't find open sites, you can't go where you want, and it just seems like a hassle. So we're going to discuss some things that maybe can help you out. Unfortunately, gone are the days of just winging it across the country without doing some planning. It's sad, but it's true. Now, you can give up on RVing. It's not worth the hassle. Or you can try to work with what's available and still make the experience pleasurable. So we're going to share with you some ideas and some things that we use. Planning. There are planners and there are what's called wingers. And basically wingers just love the thrill and the challenge of seeing what's next. Well, if that's what you want to do, that's great. No problem. We got no problem with that. We are more planners. And we like to know that when we get across country, we've got reservations. We navigate across there. We make plans about our overnight stops and refueling and so forth. So that's what we're going to get into. Now, there's all kinds of apps and websites and tools that you can use, first of all, to plan your trips. And I guess what we should say is that you plan your trips, and then you navigate your trips, and then you have your travel days where you set up and tear down. You may only stay one night, and when you get where you're going, you might stay 3 days, a week, a month, whatever. And so, first of all, try to decide on how many miles you want to travel in a day. I know some of you are on a time constraint. You may be on vacation. For us, it's a little easier because we're retired. We don't have to be anywhere quick. So the first thing that you really want to do is decide how many miles you want to travel in a day. And I would advise you to understand your rig and don't drive it where it wasn't designed to go. I mean, you don't want to off-road in a 40-foot RV. I mean, it just ain't going to go there. You can really tear up your rig if you do that. You can high center it. I mean, you can get it stuck on the road, and it's a mess. So just do a little bit of planning, and I'm going to tell you about some things you can use like Google Satellite and Google Street View that will really help you in looking at some of these places that you want to go. And I've got my cheat sheet here. So once you have made your route and your plan, I want to say one thing. When the route is in doubt, stop. Don't keep going. You stop, you turn around, you assess your plan, and make sure that you're on the right route. Now, unfortunately, you hear about people who get into trouble, and they end up where they shouldn't be. And it can be disastrous. And I've even read about and watched some videos of people who have lost their lives because they got out in the middle of nowhere where they were not familiar with. There was no services. They got stuck, and it was a disaster. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So planning some of this will keep you out of trouble. I don't want to endorse any one product, but we're going to talk about some tools, some named tools that might help you. And one of those is Basecamp. A lot of people use Basecamp to do their planning. I've used it a few times. There's another tool a lot of people use that's called RV Trip Wizard. Now, again, I'm not endorsing this product. I'm just saying these are a couple of the tools that people use to navigate their routes and plan things. So those are a couple that are out there. I strongly urge you to go look at them, search them on the web, and a lot of them have demos that you can demo the product before you decide to do anything with it. So there's a bunch of them out there, so go check them out. And a lot of those tools will let you download the routes that you create directly into a GPS. So you can design it and plan it on one tool and download it to your GPS that you've got in your tow vehicle or in your motorhome. And that makes life a lot simpler too. Don't rely solely on printed maps or car truck GPSs. I mean, one of my biggest bugaboos is that we've got a 1-ton dually truck and the GPS in it is absolutely worthless. I mean, it has no idea that we're pulling a 37-foot rig and that our gross total weight is 30,000 pounds and we're 13 foot 6 inches high. And it's going to take you some cow paths that you will never get out of. So why do they build these big trucks to pull these RVs with a car GPS? Makes no sense to me, but hey. All right. Strongly consider an RV GPS or trucker's GPS, a Magellan, an RV Garmin, right? You input the parameters of your rig into these GPS tools, and it knows that you are 13 foot 6 inches high. It knows you are 54 feet long, and it's not going to take you through underpasses that's way too short for you to get underneath of. So strongly consider a RV GPS. But understand too that there are some places in this country where you're going to get to that you're going to lose the signal from your GPS. I mean, they are so remote that you can't get no signal from them. And Tammy and I have been in a couple of places where we lost our link. Now, I don't believe we were pulling the RV at the time, but we were just in our truck. But I'm telling you, you can lose your link to your GPS. So just be aware of it. Now, like I talked about, you can input the details of your rig directly into these RV GPSs. These RV GPSs can also help you with road hazards and alternate routing around accidents, road construction, those kind of things. And several times our RV GPS has suggested an alternate route to get around construction or get around an accident that had the interstate closed. Now it's up to you to make the decision whether you want to take that alternate route or not. And I talked about a Google. Now, when you look at your stops, or you look at a boondocking site, or you look at a campground or a fuel stop, you can use Google Satellite View or Street View and look at those stops. And sometimes you can do a 360 around them. So you can see how big the entrance is. Like a truck stop, where are the truck lanes? A Google Street View can help you locate those kind of things. And so you can take a look at what your stop looks like. And it'll help you get into it. You know what is going to be there when you get there. Overnight camping. Now, you got state, national, Corps of Engineers, private, resorts, on and on and on. But like your overnight stops, don't forget about the new Love's Fuel Stop RV parks. Now, a lot of them don't have a lot of RV spots, but Love's is putting in RV spots where you can hook up. It's got power and everything. You just go into the truck stop and pay for an overnight there. So that's something new, and I have read where people said they're really great. Don't forget about places like Cabela's, Cracker Barrel, and Walmart, but you want to go in and talk to the managers first before you boondock in their parking lots. A lot of times they won't have a problem with it, but you need to talk to the managers first. Personally, I would not use a Walmart, but several people have, and they've never had a problem with it. So it's up to you to decide. There's also some new things out that's exciting, like Harvest Hosts. And we happen to be Harvest Host members, and we have stayed at places like a horse farm. We have stayed at wineries. We have stayed at different places. One of them was a car museum in South Dakota. Beautiful, great, exciting. So think about Harvest Hosts. Think about Boondockers Welcome. That's another one that you can use for your overnight stops. A lot of times they don't want you overnighting in rest parks along the interstate. I know truckers do it. If you do, don't put your slides out, because that will just make everybody mad. But those are some of the things you can look at for your overnight stops. And I strongly urge you to understand your length, width, height, weight, all of your rig specifications. And we've even printed it out with a label maker. And we have it right on the dash of the truck. And so when we're traveling along, I can immediately look down at our height. And if I'm coming up to an overpass, and we come up to one in Texas, and we're at 13.6 inches high, and that overpass was 13.7. And let me tell you, we went through it real slow. But at any rate, we have them all printed out with a label maker, and we got it stuck right on the dashboard. So we always know what our dimensions are, and it's always in our GPS, so it knows as well. So a few more things we're going to get into. On travel days and tear down, set up, hooking up, whose job is what, those kind of things. But when you use these trip planning tools, especially if you're going all the way across country. Now, if you're going local parks, you know the area, right? So there's really, you don't need to use them then. But if you're going all the way across country, using some of these tools will make your life so much easier. And it's just a good idea to use them. And some of them cost very little. You may have to buy a membership, but some of them cost so little that it's well worth the money for it. Now, our RV GPS, we've had it now 4 or 5 years, and we keep it updated with the maps. And right now we have it limited to the United States and Canada, but we keep it updated with updates for the maps. And so when we route plan using a tool, and I'll just tell you, we use RV Trip Wizard. Now, you don't have to use it, but that's what we use. And the route that it plans, and then the route that our RV GPS plans, pretty much always comes out the same way. And so they both agree. And our GPS will tell us real time what's going on the highways, accidents, road construction, so on and so forth. So it can route us real time, where the trip planning tool we may have used 5 months ago can't. So those are just some things to think about with routing, planning, making reservations, because I'm telling you, nothing is more frustrated when you want to go someplace and nobody has any open places, no open slots at the campgrounds. And sometimes at some of these places, you got to plan things out 6 months or a year. Like some of the snowbirds who, come down from the northern states or even Canada, they have to set up their reservations a year in advance in order to get their places in Florida or even Texas. So, yeah, unfortunately, making reservations has almost become critical. And so it's a sad thing, but yes, I mean, you're going to have to do it. Because if you just try to go out and find places as you go, I don't think you're going to be too happy. So anyway, that's enough about trip planning and tools. And I'll share with you a little bit later at the end of this some of the apps we use. But take a look at some of this stuff and these tools that are available out there. If you're going to be traveling a lot in the Rocky Mountains, there's Truckers Rocky Mountain GPS apps, because you're going to get up in some high elevations. And so there's some routing around high elevations and small roads you want to stay away from. So if you get out in that area, there's some unique tools you can use for the Rocky Mountains. But planning and thinking ahead is going to make your experience a whole lot better, believe me. Okay, travel day. You're getting ready to hook up. I mean, this is your travel day. And Tammy and I have practiced the procedures that we go through to do this. Now, Tammy usually does the inside things, and while I'm preparing the truck and getting it ready and tearing down the outside. And sometimes we share those responsibilities. But you really need to understand and get job assignments set. So nobody's thinking that the other person did it already. So come up with a plan between your partner, your spouse, your travel companion, who's going to do what. So that way you won't forget anything. Now, Tammy helps drive our rig. And once in a while, to keep in practice, like I said, we have a fifth wheel and a 1-ton dually. So once in a while, she'll practice backing up the truck and hooking to the pin. And a lot of times, fellas, let me tell you, she does it better than I do. So, I mean, she can drive the rig. She can hook it up. I'm going to say one thing here, too. If something ever happened to me and I can't do it, then she's not stuck here thinking, well, how am I going to move this thing? She can back it up, hook it on, and drive it, And so that's some things to think about. Now, I understand that some partners don't want anything to do with driving or hooking up or anything like that. And that's okay too. If they're really uncomfortable doing it, they probably shouldn't. So just think about it. All right. Tammy and I both practice everything. And like I said, she can back the truck up and hook it to the pin just as well as anybody else. Now, we have checklists. That's just one of our things. We create checklists for almost everything. And so here's one of our checklists. And this is some of the things that Tammy does inside. Now, this is a printed sheet, laminated. And it lives in one of our cabinets. And some of the things on here is like close the roof vents. Make sure the windows are latched and the shades are closed. Put away all appliances. Move everything away from the slides. Secure the chairs. Make sure everything that's glass is wrapped up like the microwave tray. Now, these are things that are brain teasers. You can look down this list to make sure you got everything done before you take off. So this is some of the things that of the checklist that we do inside. Now, outside, there is a checklist. We both can operate the leveling system. We both can set up the rig to hook to the truck. Excuse me. We both know how to dump the tanks and stow the hoses and stow the water lines and hook up or unhook the power cords and all that kind of stuff. So once you've got all of that done, we do a walk around. Well, you've got it all hooked up to your tow vehicle, or even if you got a motorhome. Once you've got your tow hooked up and you're all ready to go, do a walk around. Walk around your RV and make sure you got everything put away, you got everything stowed, everything's hooked up right. All of your cargo doors are closed and locked. I actually saw somebody taking off from a campground that had 2 of their cargo doors open. And I'm telling you, going down the road, stuff that had been falling out of them cargo doors, it was kind of unbelievable. So walk around, do a walk around. Walk around your rig, make sure you've got everything put away. Make sure your slides are fully closed. It's just something to think about. Also, before you go taking off, check your DOT lights. Make sure they all work. Now, this is your turn signals, your brake lights, your clearance lights, things of that nature. Make sure they all work. And the last thing you want to do is take off down the road and all of a sudden your lights don't work. We even do a pull test. Once we got everything hooked up, we've checked the lights, we've done our walk around. The very last thing is we go through a pre-flight checklist, and I test the brakes on our RV to make sure that they work. Now, this pre-flight checklist that I've got, it's on a laminated, printed piece of paper. It's laminated and it lives in the pocket of our truck. Okay, some of the things on this pre-flight checklist. Dump the tanks, stow the hoses, the stove fan vent closed, cable TV is disconnected. If we need to, we check the roof before we take off. The slides are fully retracted. The jacks are all up and locked, and we stow the blocks. Make sure they're all put away. A power cable disconnected. We check air pressure in the tires before we ever take off. That's the exterior. There's a section that's labeled hitch. Check lube disc pin box. Hitch pins, the lock's in place. Open the lock arm for connection. Drop the tailgate. Now that's a biggie. Last thing you want to do is back into your pin. But hey, things happen. Make sure that when you're hooked up, your jaws of your hitch, fifth wheel, is locked onto the pin. If you got a travel trailer, make sure that the latch is closed and pinned. If you got a motorhome, make doggone sure that your toad and your tow bar are secured. Make sure your 7-way power plug is in. The emergency breakaway cord is attached. And like I said, we do a pull test. These are just some of the things that is on our pre-flight checklist. Now, there's some other things that we have, and we have something that's called a bug out bag. Now, that bug out bag has all of our medications in it that we're going to need while we're traveling. It has toiletry items, toothpaste, deodorant, that kind of stuff. Excuse me. It has our black books. It has our checkbooks. It has everything that's vital to us. Okay, and that bug out bag we make sure is in the truck. So if we ever have to abandon ship, we grab that bag and go. Okay, we got to make sure that's in the truck. We make sure that our rear camera, our Garmin, and our TPMS system for the trailer are all functioning properly. Adjust the mirrors on the truck. There's a section here for make sure that tow haul mode is on and the exhaust brake is on. Excuse me. So these are just some of the things that's on our pre-flight checklist. And like I say, it's all on this card. It lives in a pocket of the truck and it's laminated. Now, some people might think, oh, I don't need that because I'll remember to do all this stuff. It's not necessary. Well, we have seen over our time RVing, people forget a lot of stuff. And believe it or not, we've even heard of people taking off with their power cord still connected. Now, things happen. And so we use these checklists just as memory joggers to make sure that we've got everything put away and we're all ready to go. So these are just some of the things that we use. Okay? And I want to say this. When you're going down the road, one person drives and one person navigates. Now the driver, their sole responsibility is driving the rig and keeping it under control. And the navigator, they're the ones that watches the GPS, maybe even break out a map if you need it. They can also use a laptop and look ahead at one of your stops. Those kind of things. If you're trying to do both, you're not paying attention to the road. So in our case, one drives and one navigates. And that's just the way we do it. And if we have to collaborate on something, we stop. We'll pull off the road, we'll take a look at what we've got and figure out if we've got a problem before we continue. We want to know we're in the right place, we're on the right route. If we have to get off the route, then we'll take a look and we'll stop. Don't keep pursuing a bad situation because you may end up where you don't want to be. Those are some of the things that we do. And it's served us well for our 4 years of full-timing and even going back farther with our RVs. And we've had everything from a tent to a pop-up to a truck camper to small towables to this 38-foot fifth wheel. Excuse me. So, we're just saying be informed. The more you're informed and the better prepared you are, and even the planning, the less stress you're going to be under. The better your experience is going to be, and the more fun you're going to have. So that's the name of the game. Now, we get to some of the apps that we have iPhones, and some of the apps that we use are RV Life, RV Parky, All Trails. Now, All Trails is one of the things that you need to really look at too, because you can even download or upgrade to the system that the All Trails will work even if you don't have phone service. So, I mean, if you're on a trail someplace and you lose phone service, you don't lose your guide. So AllTrails has an upgrade where it downloads it into your phone so that you don't, even if you lose service, you still keep the guide. There's Harvest Host and Boondockers Welcome applications. Gas Buddy is another one. A lot of people use that. There's a National Park Service app, NPS app. That comes in handy. Your KOA, if you have memberships to KOA or 1,000 Trails, they have apps that you can download on your phone. So there's all kinds of apps that you can download that really will help you in traveling across this great country. And they're just really handy tools, make your life so much easier. So these are some of the things that we use, and we've been using them now for a long time. So take what I've said and some of the things we use, see if they fit what you need. Take a look at them. Talk to your navigator, talk to your significant other about using some of these tools. Like I say, some of them you can even demo them, and before you go off and sign up for any memberships, those kind of things. So I hope this video on travel days, navigation, and trip planning has helped you. So check out some of these tools that are available. See what you think about them. See if you can use them, and just have a great time out there. The next video we're thinking about putting together is something about full timing. Now, going full time or semi full time can be a complicated process, and we're going to try to put something together about how we went full timing. So look forward to that video when we get ready to publish it. And if you're interested in that kind of thing, maybe we can give you some tips there too. So thanks for sticking around with us, and we'll see you on down the road.